Zoning Board of Appeals, please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First application tonight is application 26-118 of Stephen Rivera and Natalie Duquesne Rivera, property located in Wheatley Heights. Name and address for the record, please.
Thomas Saliani, 23 Hampton Street, Sayville, New York, 11782.
Okay, and you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated July 9th, 2026, environmental control memo dated July 16th, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. We have a survey by Scalise Land Surveying dated January 30th, 2026. Plans by LeBcrew Engineering dated May 6, 2026. 3 photographs, and we have the affidavit of posting. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Good evening, honorable members of the board. We're pursuing a variance to build a pool in the technical front yard. We're also looking to increase the total building area from 15% to 28.2%. We're over the allowable coverage by 2,237.8 square feet. We're also looking to install a 6-foot fence along the rear yard adjacent to Straight Path Road. We also want to legally maintain the paver patio, standalone fire pit, gazebo, and one of the sheds in the front yard. The other one is called to be removed. The home has a Residence A zone. There are no open complaints on the property. The property currently has pavers, a standalone fire pit, the gazebo, and the shed. The pool will be adding exactly 1,068 square feet, where the patio accounts for 1,513 square feet. We're also proposing to install a dry well to mitigate any runoff or drainage concerns. If this is approved and installed per the planning department, the backyard will still maintain a large amount of space. We believe this request and project is not out of the ordinary and fits the characteristic of the neighborhood. In fact, 17 Yorkshire Drive, Wheatley Heights, which is down the block 650 feet from the subject property, appears to cover substantial more yard space with pool and patio than our subject property. I also have 2 pamphlets I could submit to the board just so you can see these reference points that I'm making. Apologies, it didn't print out too well, but it could at least give you a reference point.
You will need to upload these to the portal as well.
Okay, I could do that. That's not a problem. So additionally, 17 Yorkshire Drive, they seem to cover a lot more than what we're projecting. Also down the block in the same neighborhood, 17 Maldine Circle, Wheatley Heights, New York, 11798, roughly 1,050 feet from the subject property in the same neighborhood, has a pool located on their corner property and in their technical side yard and looks to have most of the rear yard covered. We believe there is no other way to accomplish the proposed work without having to request relief. We do not think this will negatively impact the neighborhood or surrounding neighbors. In fact, we have no complaints or issues from the neighbors, and I do have one signed affidavit from 10 Nottingham. The owner, Amrin Zahan, signed a letter stating she has no objections to the work being done, which we met with her. We fully explained the project, and she signed off on it. The other neighbor to the right-hand side has been on vacation, but they seem to have no objections. Also, lastly, the 6-foot fence. I am aware that the board consistently rules against the 6-foot fences, but I asked the board to take into consideration where the property is located, as it is uniquely located on Straight Path right there, and could give the homeowner a little bit more privacy on that busy road. Given the characteristic of the neighborhood and past precedent sent by this board, we respectfully request relief to these zoning courts in order to pursue this project. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. As far as the fence goes, the fence is also over the property line, and I understand that we're saying this is a 6-foot fence in the front yard, and it's really a secondary front yard, and I think we understand that.
Yep.
But the fence does need to be relocated onto the property. It's now, I don't know how many feet, but about 2 feet or so.
Yep. Yes, that could be taken care of.
Yeah, so it needs to be moved back onto the property. If we were to approve this application, would you agree to the following conditions? The fence is the first thing. And also, existing sheds to be removed or relocated to a forming location as per the applicant's plans. Would you agree that you're going to do that?
Yes, I agree. We are planning on removing the one that's called out to be removed, and then we're gonna, relocate the one on the bottom, and then the one on the top should be removed.
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Would you like to submit that affidavit from the neighbor?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve application 26-118 with the condition that the fence be moved onto the property and also that the sheds to be removed or relocated to conforming locations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your night.
Next application is application 26-120 of Monica Miranda, property located in Copeg.
Good evening, Thomas Bloor, the architect for the project, 60 Carlton Avenue, Suite 202, Islip Terrace, New York, 11752.
Okay, I do affirm to tell the truth.
I do.
Okay, for the record, we have a planning division memo dated July 9th, 2026, environmental control memo dated July 16th, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. We have a survey by Thomas Matarazzo dated December 21st, 2019. Plans by Thomas D. Bloor, architect, dated November 12th, 2025, 4 photographs and an affidavit of posting. Would you like to tell us about the application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So the intent of this application is to construct a front addition as well as a second-story addition. We're requesting the side yard setback on the north side of 4.6 feet instead of the required 10, as well as total side yards of 13.5 feet instead of the required 25 feet. And lastly, we're requesting a rear yard setback of 8 feet instead of the required 30 feet. The front addition and second floor additions are all directly in line with the existing dwelling's footprint, so all of these setbacks are in fact existing. The first floor addition is designed to add a one-car garage, an entry foyer, and the second floor addition is designed to add 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and an open living area. My client has enrolled in the New York State ADU grant program and is hoping to establish an accessory apartment. In reviewing planning's comments, I've created a drawing I can submit now and upload to the portal just to demonstrate how 4 off-street parking spaces can be provided and keeping it at the maximum allowed 40% front yard lot coverage. As far as precedent, there's not too many small lots in the area. However, 25 Park Street has a similar sized lot with what appears to be an even denser home versus lot size. Also, 465 Marconi Boulevard is a similar lot size with another 2-story home. If the board should have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and I can hand up some photographs of that precedent as well as my drawing just showing the cars located on the site at the 40%.
I think one of the questions is as far as the parking that you have to provide, how are you going to do that?
Correct. So I just handed up a sketch where we could provide 3 cars in the front yard on a driveway that is not greater than 40%, and 1 car could be inside the garage.
That's 3. Now we gotta get.
And one inside the garage.
It's a double driveway, so.
You don't want,
Yeah, I got a question. Yeah, that will look the same.
So there's one here where it's kind of angled,
Correct.
so that means one of these cars has to be moved to get in and out. There's no way he's getting in and out there.
Correct, yeah. I wasn't sure if the town had a code on, like, it has to be 18 by 38. Does it have to be a double-wide curb cut?
This looks like.
You know, if you make it a double-wide curb cut, it's going to start to go over the 40%.
Okay. So that's how you're trying to accomplish that, though.
Correct.
Is this the subject property right here?
No, that's the precedent around the corner. I just wanted you to see how dense that one looks on the
Yeah, so
lot,
that's not the-
especially in the aerial
It's this-
photography.
oh, okay.
This ain't the property.
Yeah, that's not the subject parcel. That's a precedent that shows a pretty dense 2-story home on a similar size lot.
Was that lot given variance relief by this board?
I didn't foil the variance, but it definitely looks like a significant size home in comparison to the lot.
Okay.
Do you know if any of them have accessory apartment permits?
I do not.
Can you tell me how are we going to access the second floor?
So the one-story front addition would become a common foyer. You would walk in, you would have a door in front of you that would lead you to the existing home as one unit, and then you would have a door to a staircase upstairs. That would be the
So it'd
addition.
be accessible?
Correct. It was like a common foyer, and then off the common foyer, you could go forward to the first floor, or you could go up to the second floor.
And if you would, describe to me the second floor, I'm assuming is going to be the apartment?
Correct.
Describe for me what you're going to have the layout.
So you come up to the top of the stairs, you'd have an open floor plan, living room, kitchen, and then 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a small stackable washer dryer and a closet.
2 bedroom.
2 bedrooms.
Okay. 2 beds.
Does this residence have a basement?
No,
No basement.
crawl space only. It's
Okay.
it's a crawl space by definition. There's a little dugout area for a boiler, but it's not a basement under the house that would be usable at all.
Very good.
So the bathrooms in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, usually the back one.
If the accessory apartment is denied, is he still willing to keep that addition like that?
So the New York State grant program was given to, I think it's closed now. It was, people could sign up for it, and it was to try and offset the high cost of living on Long Island, to basically give a grant to homes that could then potentially build some type of an addition. You're free to, my understanding is, rent it to whoever you want. I believe my client is actually going to rent it to a family member, but it's to help offset the cost of improving the home. So I don't know that they can financially afford it without the New York State grant.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, they're online. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Next application is application 26-121 of Latoya Nicole Youngblood Ellis and Jamel Ellis, property located in Amityville. Name and address for the record, please.
5 Rosewood Avenue, Amityville. Latoya Nicole Youngblood Ellis, and I am the homeowner.
Okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated July the 9th, 2026, environmental control memo dated July the 16th, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by John Robinson dated October 22nd, 2025. Plans by Impact Architect dated January 16th, 2026. 4 photographs and an affidavit of posting. What would you like to tell us about the application?
We are requesting a variance seeking permission to increase the total building area from 20% to 26.2%, which is over by 752.1 square feet. We were awarded a grant from the Plus One ADU program, which is administered by Community Development Corporation of Long Island, and our intended use for the grant will be to build a 1-story addition. The income from that addition will be used to offset the mortgage payment and to be able to more comfortably afford a home on Long Island. We have yet to receive any funds from the program and have paid all costs out of pocket so far. The denial of the building permit and need for a variance has created unnecessary hardship and has added additional time to an already 2.5-year process. I feel the lot is large enough to accommodate this addition, and I don't believe the requested area variance is substantial and it would not be a burden to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. I would ask that the board grant this exception and allow us to move forward in the application process.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn the hearing over to Mrs. Krokidas.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Hi. So it's not going to remain a single-family dwelling? You're going to apply for a rental permit or an accessory permit?
Yes, that's correct. So I do have an additional answer to the planning department. So in response to the planning department review, there is not yet an accessory apartment application on file because I wanted to make sure I can obtain the permit for the structure, and then I will continue in that process. Once I receive the denial, I turn my focus to the application process for the variance. My architect has all the paperwork ready to go for the accessory apartment application permit at the conclusion of the appeal. But the end goal will be for this addition to be an accessory apartment, as I disclosed in my application, for the purpose of generating funds to help offset the cost of the mortgage payment.
Okay, so it's going to be owner occupied and then another family, so two families living in
Yes,
the
the
home?
intention is for my father to live there. I can't privately have him, just for privacy's sake, live within my household, but to have an accessory apartment, I feel like that's the best way to have him close by and yet still live kind of separately. That's the intention. He turned 70 yesterday, so he's not yet elderly, but that's the intention as he ages.
And the home will just have the one apartment?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you purchase the home?
February 19th, 2021.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I don't have any further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Come on up. Just have a seat for a second.
So just confirm 7 bedrooms, 4 down, 3 up.
Hi,
Name and address for the record, please.
Cheryl Goldberg, 15 Harrison Avenue, Amityville.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth? And pull that mic down a little bit so you speak into it better.
Yes.
There you go, thank you. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Can you confirm the address, please?
The address is 5 Rosewood Avenue.
Yeah, I live in the neighborhood. I walk my dog around that area every day, and that area is not very congested, and I don't think that an extra apartment there would be a hardship. That's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Christine wants something, she has something to say.
Hi, I'm sorry, I just had another question for you,
Come on up.
if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, you're coming
Thank
back
you.
up. Thank you.
Myself or?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to confirm, there's going to be 7 bedrooms total, 4 down, 3 up, 3 full bathrooms, 2 down, 1 up, 2 laundry areas, and how many kitchens?
There would be a second kitchen. So there's one currently in the upstairs of the main house, and there would be a second kitchen. 7 bedrooms, I mean, there's 2 bedrooms. Depends on, I guess, who's looking at it, because one we use is, it's like the room that kind of connects the garage to the house. So we don't use it, we kind of use it as a fitness area. And then there's another small room in the back of the house that you can use as a bedroom, but they didn't classify it as a bedroom when the inspection was done. But I guess they're calling that a bedroom. So we actually call it 4 bedrooms in the main house, and then we have an additional bedroom.
The plans you submitted here, are these not what, the plans you have here is 1, 2, 3 on the second floor, 1, 2, 3 on the first floor, and then a new one in the addition.
I was told that those 2 other rooms were not bedrooms, but I guess it just depends on who's classifying it. So if you call it a bedroom, I guess then it's 7.
These were submitted by you and your
The architect, yeah. The architect.
So if they're not bedrooms, what are they?
I mean, well, the person who did the inspection on the house originally said they weren't bedrooms, but I guess it just depends on how, no one sleeps in there. We use it as a fitness room. It just leads to the garage, the one room, and the other room was a back room. I think the original owner had it as a kitchen. I don't know, but we didn't see fit to use it as a kitchen. So my 2 kids sleep upstairs, and then we use this bedroom downstairs for guests when they come. But if it's classified as a bedroom, then I guess they're bedrooms.
Where's the apartment?
The apartment, the accessory, would be on the side of the house, the north side of the house.
Gotcha.
This is the proposed addition.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Good.
Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for
Have a good
coming down.
evening.
Next application is application 26-126 of Brian Ranker, property located in Lindenhurst. Name and address for the record, please.
Brian Ranker, 59 Doges Promenade, Lindenhurst.
And are you going to speak? I need your name and address too.
Page Rittenhouse, same address, sorry.
Okay. And do you both affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated July 9th, 2026, a environmental control memo dated July 21st, 2026. There is some comments here about it's a flood zone. You should have gotten a copy of this. There's also some comments, 4 different comments regarding foundation walls, utilities. Lower level must remain greater than the lowest adjacent grade. Lower level limited to parking, access, or storage only. Do you have a copy of that? Yes. Okay. Survey by Constance Pitlick. Is that a P? Yeah. April 28, 2015. Plans by Ranker Garage. Okay. September 1st, 2025. 4 photographs and affidavit of posting. Would you guys like to tell us about the application?
Okay. So we're proposing to construct a new detached garage and to maintain several existing structures on the property, including a deck with a connected roofed-over hot tub and a cabana bar. I bought this house after Hurricane Sandy, and I was fortunate enough that it had flown under the radar of local developers looking to gut and flip houses. Luckily for me, the house didn't take on any water damage, just had a severe lack of TLC. It had been abandoned since 2009. The house had become a hangout for squatters and local kids, and it was arguably the biggest eyesore on the block. I had dreams of making it the ultimate bachelor pad with just enough space for myself, my dog, my cars, my beer, and my graphic design equipment. Cut to the present day, I found a wife, and she needs me to make space in the house so that we can make room for a nursery. The issue we're having is storage space. There's no room in our house for a future baby, and the equipment that I have, art supplies, a vinyl plotter, an airbrush desk, screen printing press that I constructed myself. It's all large, delicate equipment that can't be easily swung back and forth into an attic space. I need to be able to access this stuff as quickly and easily as possible. Our lovely house, while not taking on water damage during Sandy, is in a flood zone and is unfortunately subject to certain building restrictions. Primarily, when we inevitably add living square footage to the house, we're limited before needing to bring it up to the ever-changing FEMA regulations. In our case, the house would need to be lifted if we crossed a 50% threshold. Not only is this something we don't want to do for financial reasons, it would be nearly impossible. The house itself is half concrete block and half stick frame, making it a contractor's nightmare. The reality is the house would need to be knocked down, and the house itself is special from a historic standpoint. It was constructed when the American Venice was developed, so it's one of the oldest houses in the neighborhood. Knocking it down isn't something we want to do, and we don't want to sell. We don't want to move. We're sentimental. We've worked very hard making this house our own, and we don't want to see this house and property be taken over by a developer who doesn't care about anything other than turning a profit. We're trying to keep our garage proposal modest with just enough room to walk through the space and just enough height to keep the equipment safe and accessible. We're hopeful that the board can see our vision for this property.
Okay, thank you. Turn hearing over to Mr. Rigney.
Good evening, how are you?
Good.
Okay, you got the planning memo in front of you?
Yes.
You do see that they're not in favor of this application with the garage.
Yes.
Is there any way that you could build this to conform to what we're looking for, to stay within code?
Well, the thing is, you know, it's a little deceptively worded here where it says we're looking for an 800 square foot building and we can only have 500 because the actual footprint is only going to be 500. To get that extra 300 square foot on the second story, we only need to go up 2.5 feet beyond what is allowed. So where it seems like a big, you know, like, oh, you're building this monstrous thing, it's really only 2 feet taller than, or 2.5 feet taller than what would be allowed.
I get it. But we have a lot of applications like yours that come that we hold them to that same standard. So by us allowing you that 2 foot sets a precedence, and then how come he has it and I can't? So we try to keep everybody at that 14-foot mark. Is there any way you could keep it within code?
I'm not getting the space that we need, not really.
So is the garage going to be 2 floors? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
A
it's
loft,
second.
almost like a
Yes.
loft style?
Yeah, it's not a true, not like a whole other story, but enough room to stand above it where I'd keep all my graphic design equipment.
So all you're really looking for is the height. The height is where you're gonna see the difference, is what you're saying, not, footprint-wise, it's gonna stay in the same footprint.
Footprint-wise, it's gonna
It's just
be-
gonna go up.
Yes.
I see you're into cars. You got a lot of cars on the property.
Yeah, well, it's not all of them are keepers. Well, you can see the van that's in the street has just been sold.
Yeah, I drove by today. Instead of a white boat, it's red.
That boat is red.
That is
It's
the
just-
current boat?
It's white, yeah, it's white from the top,
Okay.
it's red from the side.
Is there any way we could just kind of neaten things up over there a little bit?
Well, yeah, actually, that's when we have the garage done. Next, south of the garage will be where that boat ends up, and then that whole yard will be clear.
Okay.
See, you caught me on a day when I was working on the cars.
All right.
Let's see if the hood's open.
Are you going to use the garage at all as a garage, or is it going to be?
It'll have a car in it, and then it'll have my tools in the bottom. It'll have, bicycles, everything that's in that garage now would be there, and then the storage above is for all the art equipment.
Light mechanic work? No, nothing heavy mechanic work?
No, I mean,
just-
no, hand tools.
Right,
That's
okay. When was the, over the hot tub constructed? You bought the house like that, or did you do that?
no, I did that.
You did that?
Yeah.
Okay. How is that anchored down?
It's got, it's almost like a helical piling. So you drill it, drills 3 feet into the ground, just a pole with a spiral bit at the end, and then it has a plate on top that compacts down. And it's, do you remember the name of the,
No, I don't.
yeah, but it's
Only reason why I'm asking is in case of flooding, anything like Sandy, which I hope never again, but, we don't want nothing floating around, nothing, coming off your property onto the neighbors, so we want
Right.
to make sure the structures that you currently have are anchored properly.
Yeah, they're anchored, it's 36 inches down, like a helical piling, and it's also connected to the deck.
Being that we're talking about the structures, what's the reason for this? You have the one shed by the garage?
That's the cabana. That's, it's got my barbecue stuff there, and it's got a table set up as a bar. We submitted a picture of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in the shed, what's in the shed?
And that's the Rubbermaid shed on the side. That is gardening equipment.
Okay. Now, would that stay there, even with the garage? Would you keep that?
Yeah, I would like to keep that. If that's a deal breaker, I can get rid of the.
And there's no possible way to redesign this garage?
And not without getting the space that we're looking for.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I got no further questions at this time.
So are you adding a roof over the deck there?
No, that's just a pergola. We were gonna grow some vines on it.
Speaking of, one more question, the front porch, you're not
Yes.
going to enclose that, right? That's going to remain open as is?
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay, so both front and back remain open?
Right.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, now I officially have no more questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. So we're going to close the hearing. We're going to close the hearing, no, I don't have to keep the record open. That's it. All right.
Good decision, Mel.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Next application is application 26-117, property located in Copeg, Montauk Highway.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Nicole Blanda. I'm an attorney at Bazell Blanda Visconti with offices at 535 Broad Hollow Road in Melville.
Okay, for the record, we have a planning division memo dated July 10th, 2026. Environmental control memo dated July 21st, 2026. If we were to approve this application, it needs a negative declaration. We have fire marshal's report that says it's passed. Is there anything left there? There's nothing on the property, right?
There is an existing building.
Oh, there is still an existing building, okay. Thought that was gone. Suffolk County Planning memo dated July 20th, 2026, decision of local determination, take no position for or against, survey by Earl Lovell dated October 17th, 2024, plans by Harold Gephardt dated March 12th, 2025, 5 photographs and an affidavit of posting. What would you like to tell us about the application?
I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner seeking variances in connection with this multi-res project. The town board did change the zone of both parcels to MR on May 27th of this year, and the planning board then subsequently approved the overall site plan on June 1st of this year. So it did go through extensive departmental review prior to arriving here tonight. The property is located on the northeast corner of Montauk Highway and St. Anne's Avenue. It is comprised of 4 tax lots. It has an overall lot area of 25,152 square feet. It was previously zoned Business E, but as I said, the town board rezoned it to MR. So the existing building you might know as the Panorama Sign Building, that is part of this application, and the building itself will stay. So on tax lot 65.1, it's presently improved with is a mixed-use building. It has a CO and a prior ZBA approval from, I believe, the late 80s. That building has a six one-bedrooms in it right now and a retail component, which is the Panorama Sign store. That retail store would be leaving, and that unit would be converted to a new apartment as part of this application. So as I said, the existing building is within the easterlymost portion of the property. As you can see, it has parking on the side and in the rear. And then on the remaining tax lots, there was an old dilapidated 2-story dwelling that has been demolished. The board might recall that dwelling.
That's what I was thinking.
That's probably what you were thinking of. Excuse me. So the applicant is seeking variances to convert that retail space in the existing building into an apartment so that that existing building will have 7 one-bedroom units. And then the applicant is proposing to construct a 2-story, 3,189 square foot building within the southwesterly half of the property, and that building would have 8 one-bedroom apartments, so total on the site would be 15. So just to go through the site plan, there would be 2 curb cuts for ingress and egress to and from the site. There's an existing curb cut on Montauk Highway that will remain, and there'll be a stop sign for any traffic exiting the site. There's a new curb cut proposed on St. Anne's for ingress and egress as well, and a stop sign would be proposed for exiting traffic over there to keep safe traffic exiting safely over there as well. Parking will be between the 2 buildings as well as in the rear of the buildings. We're required to have 30 spaces. We're providing 31 spaces. So as you come in from Montauk Highway, the existing building would be on your right. There'd be parking on the left, and we have our requisite drive aisle as well. And then we have a new 5-foot crosswalk that would lead from the parking spaces to the existing building. As we drive further in, you can see the refuse enclosures located to the rear of the existing building, and as well as our bike rack. We did all the truck turning radiuses, and that has all been approved by town DEC, as well as radius for emergency vehicle access. Then as you head west on the site, we have our 24-foot drive aisle with parking on either side. And then all parking spaces obviously comply with the 9 by 19 dimensional requirement. There'll be all new asphalt pavement to be installed. All lighting would be dark sky compliant, so it will shield everything from neighboring properties. New curbing and sidewalk to be installed along St. Anne's Avenue. Landscaping to be planted along the rear property line, arborvitaes and Leland cypresses, and more landscaping along St. Anne's and then in front of the buildings on Montauk Highway. The units on the first floor of the proposed new building will be ADA accessible. They'll range in square footage from 755 square feet to 762 square feet, open floor plan, kitchen, living area, open to each other, and then it'll have 1 bedroom. The second floor units also range from 752 square feet to 770, the same open floor plan. In the existing building, the 1 new unit proposed on the first floor will have 852 square feet, and it has a similar open floor plan. So that building would have 3 units on the first floor and 4 above, which it has 6 currently, as approved by this board back in, like I said, I think it's like 1989. So the variances that we're seeking tonight, we're seeking to permit this MR complex on a ½ acre where 2 acres is required. This is not an uncommon request given the size of parcels within the town of Babylon. Most recently approved for a similar size parcel was approved by this board in March of this year for 109 Partners LLC on Route 109, 195 Route 109. That site has 0.56 acres, just to give the board the most recent approval. That was case number 26-2. There's another site, it's older, it's from 2016. It was another, John Bono was the principal of that corporation. It's a ½ acre site at 400-418 Great Neck Road in Copeg. That site has, I think, 10 or 11 units. And in 2019, there were 6 units approved on a 9,036 square foot lot at 1035 Montauk Highway near the veterinary hospital. So again, smaller lot, so it's not uncommon to have smaller lots approved. The second variance is to diminish the front yard setback for building number 1, that's the existing building, which is 30 feet required to 14.1. It's an existing condition as pointed out in the planning memo. There is a prior ZBA approval for the front yard, but back then it was 15 feet. I don't know what happened over the years, but just to give the board some perspective on that existing condition. The third variance is to diminish the front yard setback from 30 feet to 12 feet at Montauk for the second building. So that's the new building. And as planning points out in its memo, this 12-foot dimension is only at the corner where you have the curvature of the road hit the corner of the building. The rest of that front yard setback would be at 25 feet. So it really is just to that shortest spot. The fourth variance is to diminish the front yard setback on St. Anne's from 30 feet to 10 feet for building number 2. And this is a site design to accommodate all the parking areas that you see. We were trying to tuck that building into the corner and allow for us to have the proper size drive aisle and all of our parking spaces. Previously, there was a house that sat very close to the road. I believe it also had like a stoop and a concrete area that was right on the property line. The house itself was 3 feet. Also notably, the setback is only for the length of the building, which is about the deep, 47 feet deep, and then the rest of the lot would comply with any side yard there. The fifth variance is also an existing condition for the existing building. It sits at a 3-foot setback where 30 feet is required. And then our sixth variance is to increase the density from 11.4 units allowed to 15 units permitted. The existing building has 6 units, and we're looking to convert that retail space to a 7th unit, so we're working with the number of units we have there. We don't want to have a mixed-use building there. That would be more difficult to keep if we were going to then have a second building, which is what we're proposing here. Our new building is modest in size, and we're providing enough parking for the overall site. So since there is an affordable component, 3 units will be affordable. So from 15, I think the applicant was kind of looking at it as a way to, help subsidize the cost of having an affordable rent roll, plus the construction, the cost of acquiring the property initially. So it does, by having these extra units over density, it does help both the developer and the affordable housing program to be able to have those extra units. For the surrounding area, to the east are Business E properties. There's a F&D Hardware immediately adjacent. To the east of that is a used car dealership. You can see on the aerials that the adjacent properties to the east are all up against their property lines, whether it be buildings or parking. We're not going to have that. We're going to have nice landscaping and then the parking area. To the north are Residence C properties developed with dwellings. To the west is obviously St. Anne's, and to the west of that is a commercial building with a fitness center. And then to the south, you have Montauk Highway and the other commercial properties. There is an existing fire hydrant on Montauk in front of the existing building. We will have underground electric running to the buildings, as well as a generator on the site. And we agree to the conditions that these lots will be merged. There'll be no basement permitted in proposed building number 2, and that the existing basement in building number 1 shall be for storage use only, no habitable space permitted. There's also 20 some odd covenants that Planning Board has asked for as well, that I won't bore the board with, but they're your standard multi-res covenants. I do have Mr. Gebhardt here with me tonight if there's any questions regarding the architecture or the design. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions? Any questions from the board?
I have one. To the best of your ability, can you define affordable? What's affordable?
Ask that question.
I mean, that's a good, to put it into perspective, it is a good question. So there's HUD guidelines, and they look at the 80% median income for the area, and then they do a calculation. So what it ends up bringing some of these apartments down into the low 2s versus the high 2s, and that's their version of affordable. But they base it on income from any particular year. So what will happen is the owner will have to engage, for example, Long Island Housing Partnership. They have to sign a contract with them. And before they can even get their CO, they have to prove to planning that they've done so. And then the Long Island Housing Partnership, or any other company that maybe they use, would vet people based on credit checks, applications, things like that. And then they'll determine what the rent should be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And does that remain continuous, like it doesn't change after a time period?
The affordable housing component is in perpetuity. Yeah.
Good question. I didn't have really, other applications, the same thing, so. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Needs a neg deck. I'll make a motion to adopt a negative declaration on application 26-117.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve application 26-117 with the conditions on the planning memo dated July 10th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you. Have a great night.
Coming in.
God. Next application is application 26-127, property located in North Babylon, Bowler Oil Corp. Name and address to the record.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chair, fellow board members. For Bowler, David Altman, Chief General Counsel for Bowler Oil Corp., 809 Stewart Avenue, Garden City, New York.
Okay, for the record, we have a planning division memo dated July 10th, 2026. Environmental control memo dated July 16th, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Suffolk County Planning memo dated July 17th, 2026. Decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. Survey by Galea Surveying dated April 10th, 2025. Plans by High Point Engineering dated August 17th, 2022. 5 photographs, and we have the affidavit of posting. Would you like to tell us about the application?
So, just before I start my application, with me tonight and sitting to my immediate right is Chris Tartaglia, Principal of High Point Engineering Site Civil Engineers. We are here tonight on renewal of prior sign variances granted by this board from when the station was first built circa 2017, and I think again there was a renewal in 2023. The station itself is 170 Bay Shore Road in North Babylon. There's Suffolk County Tax Map Number District 100, Section 117, Block 1, Lot 1. It is located on the southeast corner of Bay Shore Road and Comac Road. Also for the record, we did receive a copy of the July 10th planning staff memo regarding this, as well as the secret type 2 determination. This application, in particular back in 2023 on the prior renewal, also received a secret type 2 negative determination and negative declaration. The lot itself is currently improved with an existing gasoline service station. The lot area is 22,792 square feet. Frontage on Bay Shore Road is approximately 108.26 feet, and on Comac Road, approximately 102 feet. Property is currently improved, as I said, with an existing gasoline service station consisting of a convenience store on the east side of the property, approximately 2,544 square feet in area. There are 4 multi-product dispensers on site with 8 fueling positions. Above the multi-product dispensers is a 2,400 square foot canopy. As you know, the site is heavily landscaped, which is commensurate with BOLA practice and design year-round landscaping. Tonight we are before you to renew, as I mentioned, certain variances pursuant to town code. And I will leave the best for last. I'll submit to the board that since the last renewal, there have been no material change in circumstances such that the variances previously granted for the signs at issue should not be further renewed and extended for the applicable statutory period of 5 years. In sum, and I'll read through the variances in particular. The first variance is for the setback of the existing ground sign, where the setback of 10 feet is required, 2.3 is existing. There is no change in that regard, and we would ask that the board grant that variance. In terms of the ground sign, I'll leave that to last. There is an increase in the number of signs on the pole, 1 permitted, 2 existing, and 2 previously approved. Again, no change in condition. And then the last non-ground sign related variance relates to the number of wall signs, which is on the west-facing facade of the convenience store building, where 1 is permitted, 3 are existing, and 3 were previously approved, no change of condition. The issue at hand before the board, as I know the board is well aware, is the size of the existing ground sign, both in terms of its height and in terms of its sign area. As I understand it, the existing sign has been in place now pretty much since the station was built roughly 10 years ago, and the sign came into being in part because this sign was actually ordered for another BOLA shell site. This site came online first, and this sign was actually installed first. We were here before the board back in 2023 seeking variance relief to maintain this larger sign. I understand, having reviewed the record, that the board at that time denied the application. The decision was forwarded to BOLA, and the sign unfortunately still remains, and I will submit to the board it is not a matter of commission, but rather omission, in that, frankly, it was simply overlooked, and that's why we have the sign here today. But the sign, nonetheless, has become part of the character of the area. There, to my knowledge, have been no complaints or violations issued relative to the sign, and in fact, I would submit having this larger sign is frankly to the benefit of motorists. I know the board has heard many sign variance applications, particularly as they relate to gasoline service stations. The fact that there's a larger sign in place provides better visual identification for motorists who these days, and I know we all do, we all price shop our gas, particularly with the cost of gas going up markedly. I think a barrel of gas today was up over $6.50. So probably tomorrow you're going to see anywhere from a 10 to 15 cent jump at the pumps. So being able to identify price and make the proper turns well in advance is important. And I would ask the board to really take that into consideration and allow us to keep this sign in place. If the board in its infinite wisdom should decide, well, look, we asked you to adhere to the prior decision, we will respect that, but we would ask that you please consider allowing us to keep this sign in place. And that is the presentation for this evening.
Good, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
Very well presentation. However, I do think that we would prefer the sign to be in compliance with what was previously approved. I don't think there will be any visual hardships in that specific area. I'm over there quite often. I think it'll still be visual if it's in compliance. So you said omission, so they just maybe lost the paperwork.
Well, with probably roughly 230 sites either owned or leased, plus another 70 or 80 that we manage, yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
understand,
believe me, as counsel, I don't enjoy standing in front of a board and saying mea culpa, but mea culpa. And that doesn't make it good or bad, right or wrong. That's just the fact, so.
Understandable. Okay, so we would prefer compliance.
Okay, well, I would ask the board to certainly give it due consideration, but we'll certainly take that back to our principal, and I don't think at the end of the day he'll object, but we'd ask you to please give us consideration.
Absolutely. I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, where's it supposed to be? Where is the sign supposed to be? Where was it proposed?
No, it's supposed to be.
You mean what other station, what?
It's supposed to be 19 feet high. It's 20.
Oh, you mean what height?
Oh, it says that's the location, it's just too high.
It's the location is where it should be.
Okay.
The height should have been, I think, 19.8. I think we're at 26.3. And the area, if I recall, should have been about 28 square feet less than what it is. What are we? You have the dimensions, Franny? There we go. 81 versus 109. Yeah, we should have been at 81, and we're at 109.
Yeah, so the sign, we approved 19 feet 18 inches.
Right.
And it's 26
That's correct.
3 inches.
Right.
So, it's a big sign.
It's massive.
I just have a question too. If it was not approved, how long would they need to take the sign down?
I would say we could get it done in roughly 60 days
Okay, thank you.
to adjust the sign and bring it into compliance with the prior approval.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, fellow board members. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good night.
Thank you. That concludes the live streaming portion